start a new drawing, click this drop down arrow, select new, and since I'm using metric units, I'm going to use Acadiso 3D template for metric units and click open. Now I'm going to arrange my windows. I'm going to click view and select tile vertically. Now I'm going to open that one first. Tile vertically. I'm just going to adjust my screen here quickly. And make this window wider. And make sure to work on parallel projection. Click this drop down arrow, select parallel. And we're going to start from front view, which is this one here. So click custom view, select front. And first I'm going to draw this flange here, because I'm going to use this one as the base point for the distance of the center of the arc, which is this one here. So it's going to be from the midpoint here to this point. So draw a line. So go to home. I'm just going to draw a line first. Click anywhere on the screen and enter 225 for distance. Go downward for 30 units. So I'm just going to track and click that in point. Now the distance from the very top here to the bottom is, this one here is 158. So I'm going to draw a line from midpoint for 158. And the thickness is 120, so I'm just going to draw a line for 60 units. Copy this one. I'm going to join these two. I'm just going to double click to check. The length is 120, which is from this point to this point. And alright, so another line from in point, and just hit that intersection line again and click that perpendicular point. Erase this one. I'm just gonna trim, so TR for trim command. And now I'm gonna locate my center, or the center of the arc, which is the center of this arc here, this one here. So the distance from the midpoint here to this point is 184.17 by, and the Y from this point, from the center here up to the very top, is 23.22. So what I'm gonna do is draw a construction line. I'm gonna create another color so it's easier to visualize. I'm just gonna use green. Alright, so I'm gonna change the layer to green. I'm gonna draw a line from the midpoint here to the right for 184.17 and move downward for 23.22. Alright, so I'm gonna draw an arc or a circle with 147 radius. So C for circle. Now I'm gonna change the layer to the original state, so circle, and enter 147. And another one. And for the center of this arc here, the distance from the midpoint here is 80. So I'm gonna change this to green layer, so line. So this is just a construction line, by the way. And go to the right for 80 units. Go downward for 30 units. So this is going to be the center of our circle. So C for circle. I'm just gonna change this back to layer 0, circle, and enter 48 for radius, which is this one here. Now I could delete this one here. Alright, so I'm gonna draw a line from quadrant. I'm just gonna track the midpoint because the pipe is gonna be up to this point, and another line from this point. Just click anywhere here, and I'm gonna trim. So TR for trim command, enter twice. So remove this one, remove this one, click that, click this one, and delete that. Now the distance from the very end here to this point is 480. So what I'm gonna do is draw a line. Okay, I'm gonna start somewhere here. This is just gonna be a guide. So half of 480. So I'm just gonna type in 480 divided by 2 and copy this one. Draw a line downward and trim. So TR for trim command, enter twice, remove this one, and now I can delete that. Alright, now I'm gonna join the segments. So J for join command, click that. This is the arc and this line. It's not one object because I think I have to clean up here. So TR for trim command, maybe remove this one. Let me check. I think we're good. So J for join command, join again. There you go. It's now one object. Now, as you can see here, the distance from this one to this point is 20, shown here somewhere. I'm just gonna annotate here. So the thickness here is I'm gonna start from here. In point to the perpendicular point is 20. So what I'm gonna do is offset this one. So O for offset and enter 20. Click this object, click above that object, and I'm gonna offset again because the most important part is the line in between these 2 points, and the measurement from this point to this point is 64. So I'm gonna offset this one for 32 units. So for offset again and enter 32 units. Click this object, click above that object, and click this object, click above that object, offset again, this time change to 20 because the thickness is 20. Alright, now I'm gonna draw a circle because the diameter for this is 104. So I'm just gonna draw a circle from the midpoint, snap that, and if you double click, the diameter is 104. Another circle from the center and just snap that, double click, and you can see a diameter is 64, which is the bore here. Alright, the next thing to do is go to home, click this drop down arrow. If you don't see sweep, just click the drop down arrow and select sweep, and click these two, enter, and select the middle one. Alright, now I'm going to change the color for the bore because I'm going to subtract this one from the bigger one later. So I'm just going to change this to green, easier to visualize. And from here, from this face, I'm going to draw, because I'm going to create this protruding face, which is this one here. looking from model, from this one here. I'm going to create a circle. But first, change the direction of your z-axis vector. So inside the coordinates panel, select Z and point it to that direction where the extrusion is going, and to make this one here, this face here, to be the XY plane. So see, snap that center and type D for diameter option and enter 130. And extrude this one. So inside the modeling panel, select extrude command. Extrude this one towards that direction for 5 units, which is the distance from here to here. This one here. Now another circle. I'm gonna hide this one first. Easier to. So select the object, hover over isolate. Okay, select the object here. Right click anywhere on the screen, hover over isolate and select hide objects. Oops. What happened here? Hide. There you go. And draw another circle because I'm gonna do the flange. So I could concentrate on that. And the diameter here is 252. So type D for diameter option and enter 252. Alright. Now the thickness for this one is 35. So I'm gonna extrude this one towards this direction for 35 units. Now our flange is good. So what I'm gonna do is combine or union the objects. So this one and this face, this is raised face, so click that, and I'm gonna poke a hole through here. So seek for circle again, click that midpoint or center rather, type D for diameter option and enter 64. I'm just gonna check doing 2D. So I'm gonna extrude this one, click anywhere here and use subtract command inside the solid editing panel. Select the object that you want to keep, right click and select the object that you don't want to create a hole. There you go. Now I'm gonna bring back the hidden objects. I'm gonna just turn this off. So right click anywhere on the screen, hover over isolate, don't click and select an object isolation. Now I'm gonna subtract. So inside the solid editing panel, select the objects you want to subtract. Oh, don't click that. This one first because I'm gonna mirror this one later. Just this one. Right click and select the object you want to remove, which is this one here. Select the green one. Alright. But before we proceed, go down to the status bar and make sure to turn on the dynamic input. Polar tracking, object snap tracking, object snap, and selection cycling. Now I'm gonna mirror this one. So bring your object to front view. Oh, first I'm gonna create the arcs here. So to locate this one here, I'm gonna create a construction line. So I'm just gonna use layer 1. So L for line, and the distance from this point, from the midpoint, is, alright, I'm gonna annotate here, linear from midpoint to the center here is 60, and downward from the center, from the midpoint to the center of the arc is 16.4. So line from here downward 16.04, and to your left for 60 units. Actually, this is just the same here and half of this length, so I could just ignore that, and I'm gonna delete this one now, and just draw a line from in point for 16.04. all right, C for circle and enter 8 for radius, which is this one here. I'm just gonna change this one to gray. All right, bring this 0 layer current, so click that, and I could delete this one now. And another circle that I should create is this one here, this arc, and the center of that arc is this point, and the distance from the midpoint here to the center of this arc is 197. So I'm just gonna draw, I'll bring this back to layer 1. So line from the midpoint downward is 40.25, which is this one here, 40.25, and move to your left for 197, 197.95. Let me check again. Double click. This one is 40.25, which is this one here. This one and this one. Alright, so draw a circle. And the radius is 132.06. So that one, I'm gonna change this again to layer 0 and make 0 current. All right, so we don't need those are just guides. So what I'm gonna do is draw a line from quadrant and hit the perpendicular point, because I want this curve here, these ones here, and I'm gonna draw a line here from quadrant. I'm just gonna track up to the point. Now trim, so TR for trim command, enter twice, click that, and remove this one. Now I'm gonna join the segments, so J for join command, select that and select this one. I'm gonna check if everything is joined. We're good. So we just draw this one here, this arc here. So what I'm gonna do is offset downward, so O for offset and enter 20 units. Click this object, move downward. Wait, first this one is not joined, so somewhere here there's a gap. Yeah, there's a gap here if you move closer. So what I'm gonna do is trim, so TR for trim command, just remove that and we'll see. Okay, join. Now this is one object, so O for offset, enter 20, click this arc, click below that, enter, so enter O for offset again and enter 32. This is the most important arc, this one. This is what we need for sweeping. Offset again, 32, O for offset and enter 20. So I'm going to draw a circle, click that in point and just snap that. And the diameter is 104, and if you check here, so this is the one. And the bore is 64, which is this one here. So circle again from in point and just snap that in point. I'm going to check again. So inside the modeling panel, click this drop down arrow and select sweep. Click this circle and this circle, enter, and select that path. Now bring this to front view and mirror this object here. So MI for mirror, right click to enter, select that flange, enter, and specify first point of mirror line. So select this midpoint, move upward. As long as it's straight, you can click anywhere, or you can click the perpendicular point and select no. Now we have our flange. Now I could subtract. I'm just gonna change this color here to green so you can see the difference here, that this is the one that we're gonna subtract from this pipe here. So subtract command inside the solid editing panel, select the object you want to keep, right click, and select the object that you don't want. Now there you go. The next thing to draw is this one here, this flange. I'm gonna change the direction of my z-axis vector and point it upward. So this is the direction of the extrusion, or downward, doesn't matter. So say for circle, click that midpoint and just snap that in point. So if you press shift and the wheel of your mouse at the same time, you can see this circle, and extrude this one downward and just hit that in point, which is 30 units. So this one here, and draw another circle from midpoint, shift right click and just snap that midpoint and snap that in point and extrude this circle. Select that, extrude upward, and just snap the quadrant here, or the center here. There you go. Now I'm gonna draw the bore here because we're gonna poke a hole through here, but it has different dimensions. So what I'm gonna do is hide, so it's gonna be out of the way, this one. Select the object, right click anywhere on the screen, hover over isolate and select hide objects so I could concentrate. I don't need those anymore. And maybe hide these ones too. There you go. Bring the drawing to front view, and I'm gonna draw this one here. So the distance from halfway from the midpoint to this end point is 57. So what I'm gonna do is draw a line from midpoint. I'm gonna use layer green, easier to see. So line A from midpoint to your left for 57 units. There. And go downward for 10 units. And the distance from this point to this point is the difference of 40 and 60, so it should be 6. So line 6 units. Go downward from this point to this point is 110. So 110. So I'm just gonna track from the midpoint, click that, and then attach it to that midpoint. But there's another one here from okay, I think I made a mistake here. Okay, the distance from this, I'm just gonna annotate so it's easier. Alright, linear from this in point, shift right click in point to in point, and the distance here is 11. So this one, I'm just gonna delete. So line from in point to your right for 11 units. Move downward and just snap that perpendicular point. I'm just gonna trim. So the 6 units is this one here. From this in point to this in point is 6. So line, just hover over, move to your right for 6 units, go downward for 10 units. So I'm just 10. And I'm just gonna track from here and click that in point. So this is what we just draw, this one here, and the thickness for that is 10, this one. So I'm just gonna trim, TR for trim command, enter twice, and remove that. I'm gonna join the segments by typing J for join command, window the whole thing. Now this is one object. I'm gonna revolve this one, so REV for revolve command, or you can go to home and click this drop down arrow and select revolve, select the object, right click to enter, and specify axis point, starting point. Click this in point and just click this in point. You can enter 0 or 360 degrees, it's the same, 0, enter. That's gonna be our bore, so we're gonna subtract this one from the thicker one. So click anywhere on the screen, hover over isolate and select an object isolation, and I'm gonna do subtract command. So inside the solid editing panel, select subtract command, select this object, right click and select this one here. Oh wait, I'm gonna undo. I'm gonna subtract first. First, I'm gonna combine this one and this one, so I could subtract this stick, because this one is extended up to the center, so I have to combine it first. So union command, union that. I might as well union everything, and this one here, and then do subtract command. Select the objects, right click and select this object here. Let me check. It's not put all throughout, so what I'm gonna do is minimize this one. Alright, bring this drawing to top view. I'm gonna slice the object. So go to solid, select slice command. Inside the solid editing panel, select the object you want to slice, hover over from the center, here in the from the middle, click here, click this side here, make sure it's straight. You can see that the green dash line. Click here and specify a point on the side, click this side here. So this is the boundary here, so just click above it to select the other side. And as you can see here, the hole did not go through this wall here. So what I'm gonna do is create a circle. So go to home, change direction of your z-axis vector, click anywhere on the screen and point bring that way front view to make it straight. So click anywhere on the screen and point your z-axis vector that way, and draw a circle from the midpoint here. Shift right click and select mid between two points. So I want the in point here, and just snap that in point. There you go. And if I double click, yeah, diameter is 64. So what I'm gonna do is extrude this one. I cannot use press pull command because this edge here is curved. If it's straight, it's easier. I could just poke a hole through by using press pull command. So I really have to extrude this one towards the center or somewhere here, and do subtract command. Select the object you want to keep, right click and select the object that you don't want. Alright, now that's smooth. And this one here, I could just use press pull command since this is flat. So inside the modeling panel, use press pull command, hover over this face here, left click let go of your finger and left click again. Move your cursor upward first and left click again. There, that's easier. Now, I think we are done. I'm just gonna bring this to top view and mirror this object. I for mirror command. Select the object you want to mirror. Look at center. We can do this or here. And move sideways. Click anywhere here and select no. There are two objects here. This one and this one. So union. And just window the whole thing. I'm just gonna move this one and erase those guides, and I could change this to realistic by the view controls, I mean, and just hover over and click that and select realistic, or you can go to view here and change it here. And I think we're good. I could apply go to solid, apply fillet edge, and maybe okay, click radius option. I'm gonna try 0.2 if it's, yeah, 0.2 is good. This one here, click this one, enter and enter again to smoothen the edges. I think 0.2 is too tiny. All right. Okay, fillet edge, radius option, and enter 0.5 maybe. Click this edge, click that edge, click this one here. Enter and enter again to accept. All right. Maybe another one here, maybe this edge here, this one here. And I think we're done. So thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified for the next tutorial. And see you again.